E0 versus E2. This is something that a lot of people have been talking about in general consensus, where E2 is where you should stop if you're summoning for Eidolons, and E0, of course, if you don't want to summon for Eidolons, you should get Silverwolf regardless. Today we're going to be talking about, is Silverwolf okay at E0, or should you get her E2? Is E2 even valuable enough to get for it, or to try go for it? We're going to be going over all of that with the showcase for each one. We're going to be showing how good Silverwolf is at E0, E1, and E2. We're going to be explaining the effects, how good it is for her, and we're also going to be talking about the other Eidolons as well. So make sure to stay for the full video so you know what the full consensus is and why I think, you know, if you should get E2 or you should just stay at E0. So of course, let's go ahead and start talking about her Eidolons. What their Eidolons is going to be for E1 is going to be, after her ultimate, she's going to be regenerating 7 energy for every debuff that the target enemy has, and then this effect can be triggered up to 5 times in each ultimate. So that means basically you want to have around 5 to 4 debuffs at the most, so that you're able to get as much energy as you possibly can from this E1. This is going to help a lot with giving you a lot more DPS for Silverwolf. You'll be able to do a lot more frequently, being able to use her ult, and also the utility she gets from being able to use her ult so much is that you're going to be able to give that 40% defense down on that enemy, and it's going to help a lot with doing more damage for your actual DPS. So yes, E1 is actually a really strong and I think a really good Eidolon to have, especially because being able to constantly use that ultimate, being able to constantly do that defense down, it's just going to be overall higher DPS for your team fully, in all honesty, because you're going to be giving that defense down for your DPS, and you're also going to be doing more damage with Silverwolf herself. So E1 is a great Eidolon. For E2, which is why people say to stop at this point, is going to be decreasing the effect res of any enemy that enters battle by 20%. So to make this a little bit more simple, say you have a 100% base chance to hit your effect, and then the enemy has a 50% resistance to that effect. When they have that 50% resistance, you're going to be minusing 50 from that 100, and you're going to be ending up with the 50-50 to actually hit that effect on the enemy. Now, when you're getting this Eidolon 2, and you're getting that 20% reduced effect res, instead of it being 50% effect res that we got from that enemy, it's going to now be 30. So it's going to be 100 base chance minus that 30, and now you have a 70% chance to hit that effect instead of that 50-50 that you would have had if you don't have E2. This helps her a lot in not needing a lot of effect hit rate for actual builds for Silverwolf. You're going to be able to use different planar ornaments, because I know a lot of people use the effect hit rate one. You're going to be able to take off an effect hit rate, you know, chest piece if you have it. It's going to help a lot more when it comes to using and building Silverwolf. You're going to be able to make her more of a sub DPS rather than needing a lot of effect hit rate stuff on her. You're going to be able to grab crit damage, attack, speed, all of these different stats that you could use that will help her out more in doing DPS since you already have E2. Now, of course, 3 and 5 are the skill and ultimate respectively. E4 is actually going to be help you put her more into a sub DPS role, with give you more damage on her ultimate based on how many debuffs she has on the enemy. And also same thing for E6, is going to do more overall damage. So for your basic attack, your skill, and your ultimate is going to end up doing more damage if you have more debuffs on the enemy. So it's really good to make her a sub DPS if you want to go to E6. If you have the funds to do that, go ahead. But we're going to be talking about, of course, how valuable E1 and E2 is, because this is the general consensus of where to stop, just because E2 is a really strong one to have. So we're going to go ahead and go into a boss battle with Silverwolf, showcasing, you know, the ultimate, how it works and all that type of stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and look at what E1 does and E2, but it's not that hard to actually visualize. Okay, for Silverwolf, now that we are in battle, of course, when you use your ultimate, you are going to be inflicting the defense down by 40%. Now, as you may know, of course, when you pop her ultimate on an enemy, they're going to be getting that debuff, and you're also going to get 0 for your energy that's left on the actual character. Now, as you see, Silverwolf basically has 0 energy for her when she's done with her ult. Now with E1, we're going to be changing that to have more energy when we end up doing our ultimate, and it's going to be based on how many debuffs she has on her. So to check how many debuffs we have on her already with just doing one ultimate, we're going to go ahead and look at her actual, you know, name tag, whatever it's called. It's going to depend what Lycon you have on her, what extra effects you're going to be getting when you use these different types of attacks or moves. Now with the Lycon that I have, I do get that increased damage taken by 12% for 1 turn, so that's that already. We ended up getting a type 2 bug from the talent that we have, where we do more bugs or more debuffs whenever we attack. And then we also get the base defense reduction from her ultimate. So as you can see, we already have 3 different debuffs to have on the enemy, which is going to help us a lot in getting a certain amount of energy when we end up using our ultimate. Now, of course, you want to end up getting 5 debuffs before you use your ultimate, but of course, that's not 100% necessary. It's more of a quality of life type Eidolon, where you're going to just be getting more gains from doing what you normally would do. Now, of course, I can already go ahead and just activate the Eidolon, because this isn't really going to be affecting anything else in terms of damage or in terms of helping helping other teammates out. It's not going to be giving anyone extra attack. It's not going to be giving anyone like Silverwolf more damage to their stuff. Just keeping up her debuff timer on what she already has. And so this is easy to just go ahead and put in because you don't really have to worry about this affecting other things like other characters DPS, your own Silverwolf's DPS, because it's just giving your ultimate back. It's not a number game, so there's not really a lot to test when you're trying to activate Eidolon 1. Now going back into the battle, we're going to be inflicting as many debuffs as we possibly can on the enemy. That way we're able to see how much exactly she's going to be getting back when she uses her ultimate. Now of course, now that we're back with Silverwolf being able to have her ultimate up and having 4 debuffs up, which is going to give her almost 80% of her full passive from that Eidolon 1, we're going to be seeing how much exactly we're going to be getting back when it comes to a visual standpoint of how Eidolon 1 works, giving her that energy back when she uses her ultimate. Now let's see how much we get from this. I'm actually kind of excited to see because you know we end up with nothing at first. Wow, it gives you around 30-ish% back when you end up using her ultimate. And now seeing that she's going to have all of these different debuffs as well, because you can see, holy crap, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, dang, 7 debuffs from that from using that ultimate. Of course, we're gonna see how much she gets from a normal skill back from her ultimate. So you see, you get around 60-ish% from 4 stacks of debuffs. That is a lot. That is definitely a lot, and especially if you have speed, which as you see Silverwolf is already back again. We're going to have a full amount of debuffs on her, 7 exactly, and this is going to help her, like I said, get more DPS in, get her ult back really quickly, because as you can see, she's already almost done after just 2 more turns. So we're going to see how much we get again with having her having more buffs, if she still has 5 buffs. Okay, now we see she has 6 different debuffs on her, with the max being 5 for the Eidolon. Now we're going to see exactly how much you get from her full passive of Eidolon 1. Hopefully I can end up seeing it because she's about to die. Okay, so she gets around 40-ish%, around 45-ish to 40-ish to 50-ish% on her ultimate. So this is really good. As I said before, being able to get that 50, that 40, that 30%, depending on how many debuffs you have on the enemy, is going to help a lot when it comes to giving you more DPS for your Silverwolf, giving you more defense down on the uptime for your DPSs to actually hit. She's going to be overall a very strong unit with having that ultimate gain. Now for Eidolon 2, there's not really a lot to understand or not to explain when it comes to having Eidolon 2. It's not really much to showcase. You're going to be decreasing the effect res of the enemy by 20%. So giving you more percentage of chance to be actually hitting these effects is basically what E2 does. And that's why it's so strong to have on Silverwolf, because getting more chance to activate those debuffs, to put these debuffs on harder enemies with high resistances, just like the Echoes of War bosses, this overall is going to help you do more damage in the long run and for harder content, of course. So there's not really much to really showcase about this. As I said, E1 and E2 aren't any damage number increases or any buffs to teammates. So E1 and 2 are really selfish Eidolons for Silverwolf, but the utility they give to Silverwolf are very important or very strong, like E1 giving the ultimate back faster, and E2 overall giving you more flexibility in how you build your relics and how you build Silverwolf, making you more a sub DPS type character instead of a full-on support character. So my overall opinion when it comes to E0, E1, E2, E0, I think in all honesty, I've been using her E0 for a very freaking long time. And I mean, since she was released all the way up until now when I made this video, I've been absolutely destroying Memory of Chaos. I've been just overall brain dead mode on Simulated Universe. E0 is perfectly fine for Silverwolf. You do not need Eidolons at all. In all honesty, Eidolons in Honkai Star Rail aren't as crazy as they are in other Hoyoverse games where they give really big buffs or really big damage increase. For Eidolons in Honkai Star Rail, these are a little bit more watered down. They're not as super crazy as you would want them to be for getting a whole extra copy of the character. But as I said, E0, in all honesty, very strong character, very strong as is. You don't need Eidolons for sure. Now, if you do want Eidolons, as the general consensus is, I really don't see any reason to go past E2, because E3 is just the skill, E5 is the ult, E4 is going to give you more damage on ult, and E6 is going to give you more damage overall, which are nice things. You can make her sub DPS, which is going to be really cool. But E1 and 2 give her the most amount of utility that you possibly need from getting more Eidolons. 1, giving you ult charge back, 2, giving you effect res decrease on the enemies. These are overall strong as is. And then, you know, E2, as I said before, is still a very strong thing. So I do think E0, honestly, just stop there. You really don't need E1 and 2. I just went ahead and did it because I like the character a lot. But E1 and 2, these don't really need anything. If you build your other characters really nice, you really don't need this. So other than that, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope this helped anyone in determining which one you should go for, E0, E1, or E2. I do think E0 is just fine as is. You don't really need to go any further for any Eidolons. Save that for a better character. Save that for another character. Save that for a healer you might need, a DPS you might need, anything in that sort of area that you might possibly need to fill out your other portions of your team is way worth more than getting E1 and E2 for Silverwolf. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all to the end of the video. Hopefully this helped out someone determining what they need for their characters or what they need for Silverwolf. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.